Find your way here.
Find your way here.
Find your way here.
To a community of people guided by the wisdom of a goddess and the spirit of a warrior.
At UNC Greensboro,
we transform lives every day.
Every day. On campus, in our hometown, our home state,
and around the world.
Start with excellence.
Find your passion, your purpose, your inspiration here.
Through research and teaching, scholarship and service.
Competing for championships and seizing our moments.
We welcome every Spartan, just as they are, just as we are.
Just as I am.
I am.
I am.
We start with excellence.
And after graduation,
we excel, we achieve, we make an impact.
Find your wow, your breakthrough, your aha moment, your pride, your story here.
By being true to our core, we have earned the right to say,
we are the best at what we do.
We are.
We are.
We are UNC Greensboro.
A national leader in a thriving city.
Right here in the heart of North Carolina.
Find your way.
Find your way.
Find your way here.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Transfer Information Program. My name is Angie Moore. I work with transfer adult and military affiliated students here with UNC Greensboro. Just want to give you a quick introduction to what the program is going to be laid out as and the folks that you're going to be hearing from and what to expect this afternoon. So, to start, we are going to hear from Stephanie in our transfer articulation area of our registrar's office. She's going to talk a little bit about transfer credit and what that looks like. We've got Roberta. She is with our financial aid office for all things money and financial aid. And then you're going to also hear from admissions specialists. So there's myself, there's Melissa. She works a lot with adult and transfer students as well. And then lastly, we are going to hear from Andre, who works with me in admissions doing all good things transfer. A quick note about a couple of housekeeping items. Most of you are here to get the application fee waiver for $65. And we are appreciative that you're here to listen, but we also recognize that that is probably your primary goal. So having said all that, during the live stream, we are going to make a survey available partially through the program. And so you can answer some questions about how we're doing things, what information we're giving, how we're being helpful, if there's anything that we can do to better serve you as a population. And at the end of that survey, it's going to ask you a couple more questions about your application status and who you are, and then that will qualify you for the application fee waiver. A couple items about that. For students who are former UNCG students or who have received a waiver before, you are unfortunately not eligible. So just keep that in mind. If you are looking for an application fee waiver and you have not yet submitted your application, you will want to submit your application through Spartan Link and also do not pay the fee as it will not be refunded to you. But Andre will go over that a little bit more through the presentation. After the main session, we are going to have some special interest sessions, and that is with our schools and colleges. So there will be representatives there from each of our 6 schools and colleges so that you can ask more in-depth questions or get a little bit more information about the school and college and the program of interest that you are looking at. So with all of that, I am going to turn it over to Andre Hill. He's going to get us started with all good things transfer.
Angie, thanks so much for the introduction, and I appreciate you and all of our guests today. Again, my name is Andre. I'm with the admissions office. I have the privilege of working with both Angie and Melissa and the rest of the team in recruiting students to the university, and portion of my specific recruitment is for transfer. So all of you here today are near and dear to the work that I do, and I am excited that you guys have made the time and opportunity to come and join us. What we're going to talk about today are a few of the things that we want to share around this great university that we are proud to be a part of, and thinking about the community that we have, the opportunities available to you, our commitment to you as students, and how things are changing and evolving here on the campus. So let's jump into it. Now, when we talk about a unique community, we recognize that a lot of the things that we talk about are things that features you're going to find on a lot of different college campuses. So the idea of having 20,000 students, having a large transfer class each year, none of those things in and of themselves are unique to UNCG. But we do find it to be a unique combination of all of these pieces that we are really, really excited about. With being at 20,000 students, the size of our campus now, we're able to do some things that we weren't able to do when we were a smaller campus. With more resources and more opportunity, but we still do everything we can every day to make this place not be so big where students are going to get lost in the mix. And we'll talk more about that later on. And looking at the total number of transfers that we have, you guys come from everywhere, literally across all 100 counties of this great state of North Carolina, 48 different states that are represented across our entire student body, almost 70 different countries that are represented. So when you think about you and your situation, what type of student you are, where you come from, your background, there's going to be a lot of students who look like you and a lot of students who have a similar situation to your own. So if you're in the traditional age range or coming back to school after a long break or you're an adult student and you're trying to beat your kids out from finishing their degrees, you're not going to be alone in any of those cases. Now, with coming from, many of you, we assume, are coming from our North Carolina Community College system. Some of you may be coming from other four-year schools, bigger or smaller, but there's going to be some new opportunities for all of you here on this campus. Having over 125 different programs of study means there's going to be some new opportunities for majors that you may not have had an opportunity to be a part of before. With over 200 clubs and organizations, including our Tau Sigma Honorary Society, the Transfer Underdog Student Union, there's going to be plenty of groups where you can get with students who have similar interest and background to your own. With the number of courses we offer every term, we want to make sure that students are able to get the things that they need so they can quickly and efficiently finish their degrees. But we also want to make sure those other opportunities you're looking for, including being a member of the Honors College, being able to get your internship, and the opportunity for undergrad research, which is not always available on campuses of our size for undergrads. We feel like it's important, so we have made an emphasis to allow our undergraduates to participate in research as well. Now, you will have a lot of places that will talk about their commitment to students, and we try to put our money where our mouth is as far as having the offices and the people that are going to be here to support your success. Starting first with our Student Success Center, an entire office that is dedicated towards making sure that all of our students have the resources to be as successful as they can be in the classroom. So looking at tutoring, workshops, different things to assist students as far as just the basics of how to be a student, how to manage your time and your study skills and things like that. Our Career and Professional Development Center is built just to do what it says, that we are here to develop students and to prepare them for whatever goals and opportunities are going to become available once their degrees are complete. So we're really thinking about, from when you arrive, how are you going to leave? We want to make sure you're prepared for graduate school, that job, that career that's going to be waiting for you once your undergrad career is complete. These next three things, actually these next four pieces, we're going to tie them all together, and each one of them is an example of how we're invested in students to give them skills to allow them to be successful throughout their career. The Speaking and the Writing Center are two sides of the same coin, doing just what they say, helping students to improve their speaking skills, to improve their writing skills, which is going to be a direct benefit to you being in the classroom. For some of us, building up our computer skills. I'm assuming that many of you guys were like us a year ago, learning how to use Zoom for the first time. Those are things that we benefit from, and you can get that type of training inside of our computer labs. And we have a college course that is dedicated towards this for all of our students, which is First Year Experience 101, How to Succeed at the G. This is an opportunity for you to learn all of these tips and tricks and tools, not by happenstance, not by trial and error, but going into a classroom where you're going to be supported throughout your first year and giving all this information to help you be the best student that you can be. And now looking at growth and change, our university has grown and evolved tremendously over the last few years, starting back in 1891 when we were at Women's College and growing now to being over 20,000 students. Some of the new things that are happening on campus, this picture that you have here on the screen with our School of Nursing, this is a real life place now. This is an actual location where we are teaching classes, our nursing students are in there, our faculty and staff are in there, and they were having a great time being in this new space. They have also recently added in the nursing program an online cohort for their RN to BSN program. So I wanted to recognize that as one of the newest online offerings on our campus, as well as some of the other programs you'll see here with business studies, public health, and all the others that are listed. Courses, we are offering more courses online right now than we have ever before, many of them in response to COVID, but you can see with the addition of this new RN to BSN, we're adding programs as well. So all these things to make life a little more convenient for our students, we have done our best to make those things happen. So if all these things sound great, and you've obviously done a little bit of research to be here with us today, and you're thinking about applying for admission, what do I need to do next? Your first thing is to submit your application via Spartan Link. Spartan Link being the portal where you register for this event. The application fee waiver, as Angie already mentioned, can be applied, but be 100% sure that you do not pay the fee when you submit. The application will allow you to move forward. The fee is not required, and then we will apply your fee waiver later on. We need all of your college transcripts in order to be able to do a review of your application and make a decision. So if that's a 2-year school, a 4-year school, public, private, in-state, out-of-state, any place that you've gone where you earned college credits, we need a transcript from that school. Including our folks who may have served in the military, you will have earned a joint services transcript or an ACE transcript for your going through basic training and for the job training that you may have had after that. We can usually award up to 6 credits for that experience that you may have had there. So be sure to have that requested. In the application process, 24 transferable hours makes you a transfer student, meaning at that point, your high school transcript won't be necessary. If you've been successful at a previous school or combination of schools, there's no reason to think that when you get into UNCG that you're not going to continue that same success. We think that you will. Our average GPA is around a 3.0. The closer you can get to that, especially if you can get above it, the easier the application process will be, especially for reviewing and getting the decision back to you quickly. The minimum GPA is a 2.0, but the stronger that you can perform overall and the higher that GPA can be above that 2.0, the better your chances are overall. There are a couple of special categories that we want to make you guys aware of for students who may be completing an Associate of Applied Science degree in certain areas, or students who have the associate's degree in nursing. You can qualify for admission under the 2+ program. These are articulation agreements we have with the North Carolina Community Colleges where we can recognize these technical degree programs as long as you remain in a related bachelor's degree program on our campus. Some of the basic examples are nursing and nursing, business and accounting, and office systems going into our business school, human services students going into social work, and there's several other examples that are out there. If you think that any of these situations apply to you, you'd like to learn more, you can visit our website and look up 2+, and you can also use the information that you have here on the screen. You can reach out to me directly and I'll be happy to answer these questions for you. Our second degree students are going to be students who earned a bachelor's degree elsewhere and now ready to shift gears in many cases. I'm going to switch to something else career-wise, or maybe I'm looking at some other interests that I have, and I want to come back and do a degree in a different area. We've got space for you as well. So you'll be applying as normal, sending in all your transcripts and receiving a decision back from us quickly. Our second degree candidates, you can speak to any of our admission staff who will be able to help you. Our 2+ applicants, you will want to speak with me because that is a special category of students that I work with regularly. My information will be available again later on if you didn't have a chance to grab it, but be sure to let me know if you've got questions. We also have scholarship opportunities for students. In addition to the traditional federal financial aid using the FAFSA, you can also apply for our adult and transfer student scholarships. In many cases, scholarships are going to be offered to students who are, let me say for our freshman candidates, high ability students, high GPAs, high test scores, and all this volunteer work, and success looks like that. For many of our adult students, success looks a little different. Maybe it's going to be starting my family, starting a business, joining the military, taking care of my family, doing all those things that adults do, but aren't always recognized as being a successful, or something that can be recognized to point to and say, all right, this is somebody who is a successful student. Having a story where you have overcome obstacles, you've had to work a little bit harder, you've had folks that you've had to support along the way while also attending school, but maybe not having the highest GPA in the classroom. We want to make sure those students have an opportunity to be supported through the process as well. So if you meet these qualifications, being 24 years or older, that's all that we need. Tell us your story in an essay. You'll have several different prompts to talk about, and you'll want to have that submitted to Angie by April 1st. You see here, you got the website you have the link for our website where you can go there, complete the form, and get it back. So if your application is currently in progress, that's great. If you've already been decisioned, well, hopefully you haven't because you're here trying to get your fee waiver, but submit your application, do the essay at the exact same time, and we will wish you best of luck as far as receiving one of these awards. So through all of this talk, if you feel like, well, my situation is so specific, I've got this question, I've got this concern, there are plenty of opportunities for you to be able to reach out to me and to the team. So you have a text line here at the top of the screen where you can text us and get a counselor one-on-one. You can email us and say, I want to talk with a counselor, I want to set an appointment. You can check your status via Spartan Link. And there's also an opportunity for you to set up a one-on-one video call with myself, with Angie or Melissa that you saw earlier. We know that transfers typically have a lot of things that they're concerned about or worried about, or they just want to make sure they're feeling good about making the transition from their school into the university. We have these one-on-one slots where you can sign up to talk with us, and we will take the time to review transcripts, talk about timelines, when should I apply, what are my chances going to be, we want to take away all of the concern or questions that you may have about the process so that you can go boldly into it knowing that, all right, they've already told me I'm going to be accepted, everything looks great. And as long as your application matches the information you share with us, we're going to give you the best advice that we have. So one more time on fee waivers. Fee waivers are going to be for new students to the university. This is a recruitment event as an admissions office. So again, if you've attended UNCG previously and you are a former UNCG student, or if you have already used a waiver once before, we cannot apply another one for you. Waivers typically take us 5 to 7 days to get them submitted and on file. So if you are submitting your application today and your fee waivers coming in shortly thereafter, give us a little time to get through the processing piece of it. But be sure 100% that you do not pay the fee. Once the fee is paid using actual real dollars and cents, we don't have the ability to we don't have the ability to refund those funds to you. So we want to make sure not to do that, use the waiver, and it will be applied for you automatically as long as you fill out the survey, which will be coming out shortly. A couple of tips to help you guys through the process. The applications are reviewed on a rolling and space available basis. Rolling simply means by the time that you apply, all of your documents arrive. We're going to make decisions as quickly as we can, and we're going to be sending them out pretty much daily at this point. So August 1 is our rolling deadline. For any of our students who may be applying for next fall, you're going to be looking at March 1 being an early application date for you. We turn decisions around as quickly as we can. You can send transcripts to our PO box. You can also send them to our general email address, as long as they are coming directly from the school that you have attended previously. So if they are asking for an email address, you will be able to input the admissions@uncg.edu there, and it comes directly into our office. Many of these schools have third-party services that will send transcripts, and we already have accounts there. So if they're not asking you for a lot of info, that means that most likely they already know where it's going to go, and it's going to come to our office. Applications and documents can come at different times. So if you're sending your application one day, your fees come in a different day, your transcripts arriving on the third day, that's perfectly fine. We'll be able to match all those things up behind the scenes. So send us what you have when it's ready, and we'll turn it around and get a decision made once they all have been processed. And on average, it takes us 4 to 6 weeks to make a decision and get it back out to you. But certainly we are not going to hold them for any reason. And if we can quickly turn them around and get them back to you, we will absolutely do so. All right, that's everything from me. I am going to take one moment of privilege, stop to share, because somebody told me earlier to make sure that when I share the sound. And I wanted to be 100% sure that I did that. And I did. So pat on the back. That being said, I'm going to be quiet now, and I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie, and she's going to tell you guys all about the transfer credit process and how we accept credits from other universities. Stephanie, take it away.
So, hi there, I'm Stephanie Job. I'm one of the transfer credit and articulation analysts in our university registrar's office. So we process how your previous credit will apply to UNCG. Next slide, please. So the criteria we look at for that One of the first and foremost is the grade required for a course to transfer to UNCG is a C or better. So C- or lower will not transfer regardless of the course. For two-year institutions, not all courses will transfer. So technical courses typically don't transfer. And there's a 64-hour maximum for what will transfer from a two-year institution. So you want to use those credits wisely. And then for four-year institutions, the majority of courses will transfer as long as it's from an institution that's one of the accrediting agencies that we accept. Next slide, please. So to see how your courses are going to come in, you can use our test website. It's our transfer equivalency system. And so this has listings of courses that we have previously evaluated and how they come into UNCG and how they count. If a course isn't listed, doesn't mean that it won't transfer. What it might be is just that we've never seen that course before. So you can always reach out to our team to determine those if you have some, especially, you know, North Carolina schools, we tend to have seen a lot of the courses, but if you're coming from Texas or Arkansas or California, we may have just never seen it before. And you can go into that system and view details to see what sort of requirements it fulfills. And then next slide, please. So Andre already covered this a little bit, but sending your transcripts to UNCG is a really important step of the process. So you don't have to send a separate copy to us or anything. All transcripts go directly to the undergraduate admissions office, and then they share that information with us. You want to make sure to get those final transcripts. And when you do those final transcripts, you want to make sure that they have all of the information on them. So your last semester, all of your grades, that all of your degrees are awarded before you send those final transcripts, because otherwise we're going to have to come back and say, wait a second, we need another one of those. And so you may see your grades post, for instance, in an internal system from your community college, but you want to make sure that those have actually posted officially when you're requesting those final transcripts. AP and IB scores, we do need an official score report. We can't use your previous institution transcript or your high school transcript. So that's an important one to keep an eye on as well. And then next slide, please. So the official review of your transcripts happens after you've been admitted. So once you get that decision, you go into our queue, and then we're going to review all those transcripts and go through even the ones we haven't seen before and determine how they're going to come into UNCG. And then once we complete that process, you'll get an email that says your UNCG articulation is completed. So you may have a little bit of a time gap between those two. So don't freak out when there's not credit immediately. But especially once you get that UNCG articulation completed email, feel free to let us know if you have questions, because that's also then once you accept coming to UNCG, your information will feed into our DegreeWorks system, and you can see how things are specifically counting. And that's it for me. So we hope to see you guys at UNCG, and I'll hand it back over to Andre to introduce Roberta.
I don't know if Andre is introducing me. Oh, where did all my slides go? There we go. I am Roberta McDevitt. I'm the Assistant Director for Counseling Services in the Financial Aid Office, and welcome future Spartans. Next slide, please. So one of the main questions that we hear from transfer students, specifically here in the Financial Aid Office, is how are things different at UNC Greensboro? And realistically, the application process is pretty similar to that you may have completed at another institution. The first thing that you need to do is apply for financial aid using the free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA. We use acronyms a lot in the Financial Aid Office. The FAFSA is required for all types of federal aid, as well as state aid and UNC Greensboro institutional financial aid. You complete the FAFSA online at fafsa.gov. You do have to complete it every year. So if you are currently attending somewhere and you have a FAFSA on file for the 2020-21 school year, you will want to make sure that you are completing the 2021-22 FAFSA if you're planning on starting UNC Greensboro in the fall. If you're thinking about transferring in the summertime, we would use the 2020-21 FAFSA, but you want to make sure that you add our school code, and the UNCG school code is 002976. Again, when you go to the FAFSA website, it's important to verify which FAFSA you are working on filing, because currently there are 2 years that are active. Next slide, please. So some FAFSA tips. The priority filing date for UNC Greensboro is January 15th. And we know that that date is passed for the upcoming school year, but that does not mean that you're not going to get a financial aid award. What that means is that the date has passed for priority filing, and that is access to some of our limited resources. We will still put together a financial aid award for you based on your eligibility for federal aid, state aid, and some limited institutional funds, but some of our other restricted funds you had to have filed by the 15th. You don't have to be admitted to complete a FAFSA. What that means is that you can go out and add our school code or file your FAFSA today, even though it may be a little bit for your admissions application to be processed. So you don't have to wait. You want to get that process so that when you are admitted, we have that on file and we're ready to get you a financial aid award. Please use the IRS data retrieval tool when you're filing your FAFSA. The data retrieval tool is a way to import your tax information directly from the IRS. That helps limit some verification potential, which means that we'd have to collect additional documentation from you. We know if the information is coming right from the IRS, it's accurate. So we appreciate if you use that whenever possible. Next slide, please. So the next slide is information about our 2021-22 tuition and fees. You can see that the difference between in-state and out-of-state, there is a difference. There's a little asterisk next to in-state and some information down at the bottom of the slide. If you are a North Carolina resident, you want to make sure that you update your residency status via the Residency Determination Service at www.ncresidency.org. You will not be considered an in-state student for tuition purposes or for state aid purposes if you do not complete that. If you've completed it to attend another school here in North Carolina, you will have to do it again, because once you stop attending that school, the residency expires and you have to complete it again to attend another institution. Next slide, please. When we put together a financial aid award, we not only package you for those direct costs, and those were the tuition and fees and housing and meals if you're on campus that you saw on the previous slide, but we also include in our cost of attendance something called indirect costs, and those are non-billed costs. Those are things like books and supplies, travel to and from campus, and personal miscellaneous expenses. Next slide. One of the things that we often hear from students is asking about books and supplies and that indirect cost, and how does it work at UNC Greensboro? We have something here called Bookstore Bucks. Bookstore Bucks are a way for students to purchase their books from the university bookstore. It is a separate entity, so we just can't do book vouchers, or you can't go to our bookstore and charge your books. But through your Spartan card or your university ID, you can set up an account to purchase Bookstore Bucks. They are available during fall, spring, and summer. You can purchase up to $750 for use in our bookstore. It's charged to your student account here at the university. So if you're using financial aid, just like your tuition and fees are charged to your student account, if you purchase Bookstore Bucks, the cost of whatever you buy gets added. And then when your financial aid comes in, it will pay off not only your tuition and fees, but also the Bookstore Bucks. It's important to note that you have to request the Bookstore Bucks 24 hours before you order books online. Next slide, please. So the types of financial aid that we add to a student's financial aid award include two types. Gift aid, and that's the free money. That's the money that everyone's looking for. And gift aid includes scholarships and grant money. But we also include self-help aid. So we're going to let you know that what types of student loans you might have available to you. And also if you are eligible for student employment or work study. I will tell you that we have a very limited amount of funding for work study here at UNC Greensboro. And sometimes by the time we get awarded, we have utilized all of our funds. And so if you are interested in working on campus and you don't have work study, the Career and Professional Development Department also has a job listing for jobs that don't require federal work study as part of financial aid. So you may want to look into that. The next slide, please. So I know admissions and Stephanie both talked a little bit about Spartan Link and how in your application process, that's how you're utilizing and to get to your application. But to get to financial aid, you'll want to access that through UNC Genie. UNC Genie is accessed through the Genie lamp that is at the top of the university website. It is our student information system. And to access that, you would want to go into the secure area using your university ID and PIN. When you log in and go under the financial aid tab, you'll be able to view any outstanding eligibility requirements. So if there's some documentation that we need from you before we put together your financial aid award, you'll be able to see what those requirements are and download those documents if necessary. You'll also be able to view and accept your financial aid award. And one of the features that's in UNC Genie is also a document uploader. So you don't have to put things in the mail to us. You don't have to fax them. Actually, we don't have a fax machine, and we request that you don't email them because they're not secure. So the document uploader is the best way to get a document to us. Financial aid awards are generated once you are admitted. So once we have your FAFSA and you've been admitted, we will generate a financial aid award to you. You will get notified via email once that happens. Next slide, please. So I'm going to step on the cashier's office toes a little bit and give them a little bit of due since they are not on the presentation with us today. But one of the other questions that we often hear is, when do I find out how much I owe? And so bills are created once registration is complete. For the fall semester, the bills are generated in July. The cashier's office sends out a billing email with a payment due date of the end of July, usually the end of July, early part of August for the fall semester. The billing will also include the financial aid that you have, so you'll be able to see what the difference is between your charges and your financial aid. And the cashier's office will also provide information about the university's payment plan options. Next slide, please. So we know that from a life standpoint, families have been experiencing special circumstances due to the COVID pandemic. And so if there has been a significant change in your family's financial circumstances, or if you have other questions, you are more than welcome to contact the financial aid office. We have financial aid advisors answering the phones between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Our phone number is listed there, 336-334-5702. Or you can also access us via email at finaid@uncg.edu. And you can also access a lot of financial aid information on Spartan Central, which is on our website. There's a lot of good frequently asked questions about the financial aid. And you can also visit with our chatbot Mini. Next slide, please. Well, that is the end of my part of the presentation. I'm now going to turn it over to our faculty speaker, Jeff.
Thanks, Roberta. I appreciate it. Jeff is one of our faculty members and also an alum. He's going to tell a portion of his story. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us today, but he did pre-record a video for us, and we hope that you all will enjoy it.
Hey there, my name is Jeff Colbert. I'm a senior lecturer in the political science department, and like I hope many of you will be in the future, I am an alumnus of UNC Greensboro, actually 2 times. I got my bachelor's degree and my master's in public affairs here at UNC Greensboro. I really wish I could talk with you sort of in person in the pre-COVID world, or at least in the live broadcast that we're doing, but responsibilities take me elsewhere, and I'm sorry I can't be with you. But I'm excited to have this opportunity to share with you for just a few minutes about why I think UNCG is a great place, and I'm coming at this as a faculty member first and foremost, but also as an alumnus. And to be quite honest, my daughter also and her husband both attended UNCG and graduated from here. So there's a lot of UNCG blue and gold in my blood, if you will. But it's an interesting place to come to, and I really enjoy the opportunity to talk particularly with adult students, with transfer students, because in many ways we share a lot of similarities. If we were together in an auditorium, what I typically do when I talk about this, I have people raise hands. And so I'll ask the folks, so I'm asking you, how many of you started college as a sort of traditional 18-year-old student? And if you did that at some point in your past, I did that too. And how many of you are considering transferring to UNC Greensboro? And I would ask y'all to raise your hands, because I did that too. I began my college career at another university and transferred to UNCG. And then thirdly, I would ask how many of you are coming back to school as an adult student. You were in college, but you've been out for a while, and now you're coming back. And I would share with y'all that I'm one of those too. I was in college for a total of 2.5 years, dropped out for a semester. That lasted 10 years, and then came back as a 30-year-old single adult with a daughter. I was a single dad, and trying to make some sense of where I want to go with the rest of my life and what I think I'm supposed to do. I'm pleased to say that even, and this was decades ago when I came back to UNCG, it was a very welcoming campus, and I think, to be honest, we have improved on that in the decades that I've been here. We received lots of awards for being very friendly to a variety of groups, including folks, including veterans. We're very environmentally oriented. We're very community oriented. In fact, what many of our students, if you had a chance to talk with them, what they would tell you is that for a large university, and we have around 20,000 students here, it doesn't feel like a big school. It feels much smaller. And part of that is because while we do have some classes which are fairly large, we also have a lot of classes which are relatively small, because we want students to have that sense of community, getting to know your peers in the room, getting to know your faculty member a little bit. Most of the people that I know here, and this December I finished my 33rd year teaching at UNCG, so I know a lot of folks here. And the overwhelming majority of them are folks who want to be here. Most of them, at least the ones that I know, frankly, can make a lot of money someplace else, but they rather be here. They enjoy the academic life, they enjoy teaching, they enjoy research, they enjoy working with students like y'all. Whether you're a traditional student coming in as an initial 18-year-old, or whether you're coming in as an adult student, again, as I came back, we love the diversity in the classroom. It really makes an interesting mix when you have older students, more middle-aged, younger students, more traditional. We are, as you have heard in multiple ways, one of the most diverse campuses in the state of North Carolina, probably the most diverse, in terms of just about every measurement you can come up with. It's not like a single, well, we're racially diverse. We're diverse in so many different ways. And as a faculty member, that really adds to the classroom environment, because people come at topics and have questions from so many different directions that it really makes it interesting. And I spend a lot of time encouraging my students, even in this COVID world where we are somewhat physically distanced from each other, to reach out and to try to get to know each other a little bit, because there's just a wealth of value to be learned from your peers and from the various opportunities that you have here on campus. It's my goal for all of my students, and I think many of my peers would agree with this. The way I characterize it in my classes, at some point during the semester, to every one of my classes, I'll share with my students that my ultimate goal for them is for them to become just like me. And I'll quickly reiterate, no, I don't mean old, I don't mean white-haired, I don't mean, frankly, a little overweight. What I mean is, I wake up every morning not feeling as though I'm going to work because I love what I do. 3.5 decades ago, I figured out what my goal in life, what my purpose in life, what my calling was, if you will. And I've had the incredible blessing of being able to teach at UNCG now for a little over 3 decades. And I mean it quite literally. When I wake up in the morning, it's not like, oh, golly, I've got to go to work. It's like, hey, I get to go teach today. I get to go advise students today. I get to go interact with young folks today and help them through some of the great times and help them through some of the struggles that we all face. And my desire for each one of my students is not to find the most prestigious job after they graduate, not to find the most well-paying job, is to find what it is they're supposed to do in life. What is your purpose? What is your calling? Because if you find that, it may not be a wealthy occupation, but you'll make more than enough money to do what you need to do. And you'll enjoy almost every day of your life. Because the reality is, and you might not have thought about this, but you know it, from the moment you graduate from UNCG, whenever that occurs, for most of the rest of your adult life, what you will do more than anything else is work. 8 hours a day, at least 5 days a week. And some of you will work more than that. I certainly do, but that's okay because it's not really work, you know. It's a different kind of thing. Now, I exert effort. I put in a lot of work to try to make this what I want it to be, to try to be the best teacher I possibly can, to help my students the best I possibly can. But at the end of the day, I leave the university campus and head home satisfied that I've done a good day's work, that I have hopefully helped people in some way, shape, or form, that I have fulfilled for that day the calling of my life. And the cool thing is, I'll get to do it tomorrow as well. Now, we can't do that by ourselves. You have to do your work as well. You have to put in the effort, the sweat equity, if you will. You have to study. You have to think. You have to search. You have to look for, what is it that I'm supposed to do? But I would love for us to have the opportunity to help you find that and to help you be successful for all the rest of your life. So in closing, I thank you for spending time with us today. I thank you for considering coming to what is quite literally my university. And I hope that the information that you're receiving from all of my peers today will be helpful in allowing you to make the decision that's best for you. Have a great day. Thanks.
All right, everybody. I love Jeff's story. It inspires me so much, and I appreciate him being able to share some of that with us today. So as we start to wrap up and get ready for some Q&A here, we're going to be able to take questions here in the chat, and I think we're also taking questions through our texting service. And you've got that texting number there at the top of the screen, and that is one of the ways that you can be in contact with the folks here in the admissions office. You've got our admissions email address, so that you can email myself, Angie, Melissa, and all of the other folks here, all of your questions around the application process. We have the registrar's office contact information. So if you have questions around your transfer credit, or if you apply and all your credit doesn't show up and you want to know what happened to it, you can email those good folks over there and they will help us. And Roberta, our money lady, we've got the financial aid email address as well, so that you can reach out to them and they can assist. So with all of that said, I think we are here at the end. So I am going to invite Angie, Roberta, Stephanie to come back in and see if we have any questions that we can handle here as part of the group.
All right, so the first thing is we had a student request to see the contact information. So not what we're currently viewing for all of the offices, but for scheduling an appointment for one of the transfer counselors. Andre, I don't know if you can go back to that slide, but navigating it on our website, you can look up to see who your counselors are, and then it will allow you to select your counselor and then schedule an appointment. So Andre is going to look at that slide, and then we'll get that information for you. Just a reminder, if you're interested in getting your application fee waiver, there is a link on the Transfer Information Program website at the bottom of the page. It will be open until 10 p.m. this evening. After this program, it will not be available. It is a survey for you to answer questions about our program and the information we're providing. Are we doing a good job? Are we giving you the information you need? Is there something additional you would like to see or would have liked to have seen? Let us know so that we can best serve you as a population. Once you complete that survey, it is going to provide some information for us in order to waive your application fee. If you have not submitted your application, you can do so through our Spartan Link account portal. Do not pay the application fee, as we will not be able to refund the money for you. But go ahead and submit your application. We also had a question about transcripts. You can submit your application. While you're waiting for your application fee to be waived, you can submit the transcript to us. We will match it up with your application. So currently on the slide, now you should see the contact information for contacting admissions office. We do have another good question. Is there a way that transfer students may transfer more than 64 credit hours under certain schools or programs in the UNCG system?
So that 64 limit is only applied to 2-year institution credit. It is not applied to 4-year institution credit, but for 2-year institutions, you cannot exceed that maximum. So what we do in those cases is we go through and we pick the credit that best serves the student. So things that would just count as electives may be removed so that a student gets things that fulfill their major requirements or their general education.
Sounds good. Thanks, Stephanie. We have another question. This one is actually about residency. The student says, I'm not considered an in-state resident until mid-May. Do I need to wait until then to apply and get the in-state rate, or does that matter? Does anyone want to tackle that?
I can take a swing at that one. So with residency, for those who are not familiar, you have to live in a domicile in North Carolina for 1 year and be a bona fide resident of the state in order to qualify for in-state tuition. So the tax dollars of the state of North Carolina supporting the public universities of the state of North Carolina. But your tuition is not going to be due until the semester where you're going to start. So for our person who is asking the question, because your residency is going to kick in May, the semester doesn't start until August, you can apply now and you will have a pending residency status. So basically we'll understand that you may not be a resident now, but by the time your bill is going to be due, that you will be in state and you will get the benefit of in-state tuition. So no reason to wait, go ahead and apply now. There's plenty of time to adjust your status between now and when billing is going to come due.
Andre, the student may see that they are awarded financial aid as an out-of-state student until that point where they do become an in-state student. If they complete the NC residency on RDS, it may show that they are out of state and have to go in and update once that time comes.
Sounds great. Thank you, Roberta.
Another question. We have a student who is a student at Forsyth Tech. They're looking to transfer, but they also have credits at another institution. Their question is, since their credits appear on the Forsyth Tech transcript, do they need to get a transcript from that other college as well? I can go ahead and answer that if you want. The answer is yes. We are going to need a transcript from each institution where you earned credit. So even if it shows on another transcript, we'll need it coming directly from that institution. Reason being is how each institution takes that credit from that institution is different. So if it's going from a 4-year university to a community college, they'll take the credit differently than we would as another 4-year institution. So just send us a transcript from each of those institutions. We have additional questions about the waiver. Just again, make sure you fill out the survey. If you are a former UNCG student, if you've received a waiver before, unfortunately, you're not going to be eligible to receive a waiver. But otherwise, you can fill out the survey that is on the bottom of the page. It'll be available until 10 p.m. this evening. If you have any questions or any issues with the form, as soon as you recognize that you're having issues, please send an email to me so we can get it resolved and make sure that you get what you need for the waiver piece. Let's see, do we have any other questions? We have some folks asking about the special interest sessions, Zoom session links not working. So the special interest sessions are going to begin at 4 p.m. So you have about another 12 minutes or so before those links will be active and someone will be able to let you into those sessions. So again, those special interest sessions with each of our schools and colleges will begin at 4 p.m. So just hold tight with us and we will get you sorted for that, for those sessions. I am taking a look for other questions that we might have. Is there anyone on the panel have questions that they see frequently that maybe they'd like to go ahead and throw out there?
I have one that I can cover really quickly related to the application and the decision-making process. Oftentimes we get questions in the office around, well, how competitive is it? Am I gonna get a slot? Am I going to be fighting for other students, against other students to be able to get admitted to the university? The short answer is no. None of those pieces are going to apply. That the application is essentially there to recognize students who have been successful at their previous campus and are now looking to come to UNCG to complete their degrees. So in the case of transfer students when they're coming in, there's never going to be a situation where I'm going to have multiple transfers that are applying and I'm only going to have limited spaces that are going to be there. And that's for a couple of different reasons. Number one, transfers come in with such varying levels of transfer credit, there's really no way for you all to impact each other as part of the process. So with 120 plus different majors, with different students coming in with different courses, some transferring as freshmen with less than 30 hours, some students coming in as seniors if they've already earned a degree, so other place. There's never a way for you all to impact each other. So we've got plenty of space as far as the application process goes. The one caveat that goes along with that is if your major has a separate application or selection process, there may be some competition related to that. So for UNC Greensboro, we admit students to the university overall, and then you may have to submit a separate application into your program of choice or your major. So that would include examples like our social work program, School of Education, School of Nursing is probably the most notable example, and a handful of others where there's either going to be some sort of application, audition, portfolio, or otherwise a selection process on students that will move forward into the major. It's been my experience that most students who are going into a program like that they are usually already aware that that is something that's going to apply to them. But that is always a question you can reach out to us and ask. And if we don't know, which 9 times out of 10 we will, we can certainly reach out to the department and find out more information to be able to share with you. So the application process is for students to apply. We will review the applications. And again, our goal is to say, if you've been successful elsewhere and you're wanting to come here to finish, we want to be able to recognize that success. And then we will offer guidance based on what your interests are, what your major should be, or what you want your major to be. And if there is a process by which we can identify specific courses, timelines, when you should be applying, or what semester you should be looking to start in, we will provide that information as best we can, or get you in contact with somebody in your program.
Awesome, thanks for that. Let's see. So we did have another question about how long is the waiver good for? So the waiver for today's program is good for summer and fall of 2021. We are going to be having a couple other programs, but those waivers will also be good for summer and fall 2021. We are currently working on planning other transfer programs, but there's no guarantee we'll have a waiver for those. So I would suggest if you are looking at using the waiver, those are going to be your 2 best terms, summer 2021 and fall 2021. Let's see. We have about 8 more minutes, so I am looking at some other questions that are coming through. Are UNCG online degrees the same as the on-campus ones? Andre, do you want to address that?
I will absolutely take a swing at that one. Short answer, yes, they are the exact same. The only thing that is going to be different about those courses is going to be the delivery. So if you are a business student and you're looking at the online business administration or the online entrepreneurship degree, all of the requirements for completing the courses and completing the degree will be the exact same. So if you are taking the business law course as an example, and the one person is taking it online and the other person is taking it inside the classroom, it will be the exact same content. So this is really going to be about the flexibility that students who need online courses may be desiring and wanting to be in an online program. For others of us, I say us because I think I would be one of those students who would want to be in the classroom to see the professor face-to-face and to ask questions and get follow-up and feedback. Those opportunities are going to be there as well. So with the different online programs that we offer, the majority of them are available to all students. So I can't go through the entire list right now, but public health, business, as we've already mentioned, and again, a handful of others, you could start with the credits that you have right now and finish the entire degree fully and completely online. There are some of the other programs that do have a limited admission process, meaning that there is some sort of requirement, and in some cases, a degree, a specific degree that you must have in order to participate. So one we've already talked about, which is the online RN to BSN program, meaning that this is a program for students who already have an active RN license, and you have to have that and the associate's degree in nursing in order to participate in that specific program. So if you are somebody who is interested in nursing, but you are not currently working as a nurse or have not completed a nursing degree, you would not be eligible for that online program. It's more, think about it more like online degree completion. I have a portion of it already done, and now I'm going to finish out the second half of it with UNCG. There is also an online human development and family studies program, which is really popular. That program requires you to have earned an Associate of Applied Science in early childhood education through a North Carolina community college in order for to be eligible. The nursing program cohort is a little bit different in that your degree could come from outside of North Carolina. This specifically says that it must be this one degree, again, early childhood education, and it has to come from a North Carolina community college in order to participate. So that would make you eligible to then do the human development degree, which has two concentrations, one for early care and education. There is another concentration for the birth through kindergarten teaching license. So the best way to think about those is if you want to be in the classroom or outside of the classroom, it's probably the easiest way to split them up. The teaching license, the B through K, birth through kindergarten, puts you in the classroom. The other one would give you the option not to have to be in the classroom. For you, if you're interested in that specific degree, and you must have that specific community college associate's degree in order to participate.
All right, so we are getting some good questions. We've got a question about the pre-med program. And the student is wanting to know which Zoom session they should go to, either College of Arts and Sciences, or should they go to HHS? So I don't know about you, Andre, my recommendation would be perhaps College of Arts and Sciences, as typically biology, chemistry, biochemistry, those all fall under the College of Arts and Sciences. So they can probably talk you through a little bit as far as some information that you would need more in detail. HHS is good as well, but that is typically for those kinesiology majors and was it community public health, I think. But for pre-med, typically, I would say start with College of Arts and Sciences.
I would agree. Not so much that you have to be a biology chemistry major in order to do pre-med. You might be shocked to know that the largest population of pre-med students on our campus, they're psychology majors. Mm-hmm. Did you know that?
Yes, and if you connect with Robin Maxwell, she will tell you you do not have to be a biology, chemistry, or biochemistry major. She may even recommend you look at another major to do the pre-med piece, just because they like for students to have options. So for those of you interested in pre-med, you'll want to connect with Robin Maxwell. She is a great resource we have on campus. So we are at 3:58, 2 minutes until we are done. So we're going to wrap this up. Andre, Roberta, Stephanie, any final closing remarks that you would like to say?
As always, we want to be a resource. Reach out to us, call us, text us, email us, and let us know where we can help.
I would say the same. So having said that, I will say, as the program coordinator, thank you so much for taking your time today. I know it's not our typical format. We love seeing students on campus and in person. And so, you know, while it's not our usual in-person format, I do want to thank you for taking the time, sitting with us, going through this information, asking great questions. We are going to be continuing to answer questions for the next little bit through text. Don't forget, we also have the special interest session. So if you are wanting a little bit more in-depth information about maybe a particular major or school or college, to join one of those Zoom sessions that will go live in the next 2 minutes. Again, final reminder about the survey. If you are interested in earning a waiver, make sure you fill out that survey. It is going to be available until 10 p.m. tonight. After today, the survey will not be available. So I'm just wanting to make sure you know that. Again, former UNCG students who have received a waiver before, not eligible for the waiver piece. But having said all that, if you have questions, feel free to email me or any one of our transfer team. We'll be more than happy to get those questions answered for you. Thank you again. I guess I will sign off.